In 1258, the Mongols burned the greatest library in human history, and Western textbooks gave it a sentence, maybe two. You were never told what was inside. You were never told who built it. The reason it was quietly buried isn't about the Mongols at all. It's about what that building proves about everything you think Europe invented on its own. The House of Wisdom, Bayt al-Hikma. It stood in Baghdad for over 400 years. Caliphs built it around 830 AD under al-Mamun, son of the legendary Harun al-Rashid. At its peak, it employed the greatest minds alive, mathematicians, astronomers, physicians, translators, not dozens, hundreds, paid salaries, given entire buildings dedicated to nothing but thinking and writing. Ancient knowledge poured into it, Greek, Persian, Indian, Egyptian. Every scroll that survived Alexandria, every medical text from Persia. Every astronomical table from India. If it was written and it mattered, someone in Baghdad was translating it, copying it, extending it. The institution was so vast it had its own observatory, its own hospital, its own paper mill because it needed that much paper. What came out of that building rewrote civilization, and almost none of it is taught by name. The word algebra, from the Arabic al-Jabr, was invented there by a man named Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi. His name gave us the word algorithm. Every computer on Earth runs on a concept born inside that house. A scholar named Ibn al-Haytham developed the scientific method inside those walls: hypothesis, experiment, documented result. 300 years before Francis Bacon got the credit in European textbooks. Ibn Sina, known in the West as Avicenna, wrote a medical encyclopedia there that European doctors used as their primary reference into the 1700s. 1,500 years of accumulated medical knowledge, organized and expanded by one man in one institution. The mathematics that made the Renaissance possible was translated from Arabic manuscripts, preserved here, transmitted to Europe through Spain, not invented in Europe, transmitted to it. Then February 10, 1258, Hulagu Khan encircled Baghdad. What followed was 40 days that no textbook wants to describe fully. The Abbasid Caliph was rolled in a carpet and trampled by horses. Mongol belief held that royal blood must never touch the ground. Hundreds of thousands died. Some accounts say 1 million, but it was the books that tell the real story. Contemporary sources, Arabic, Persian, Armenian, Christian, all record the same image. The Tigris River ran black, not metaphorically. Ink from hundreds of thousands of manuscripts dissolved into the water for days. Scholars were killed alongside their libraries. So many books were thrown into the river that horses could reportedly cross on them. 4 centuries of irreplaceable human thought, gone in weeks. But here's what doesn't add up. The Mongols were not anti-intellectual. Hulagu Khan's own court included astronomers, physicians, and scholars. He built an observatory after sacking Baghdad. He funded scientists. His successors became some of the greatest patrons of Persian literature and Islamic art and history. So why this? Why did a culture that valued knowledge obliterate the greatest knowledge repository alive? The answer historians quietly avoid is this: it wasn't accidental cultural collision. Baghdad was targeted as a power center. The library wasn't collateral damage. Destroying the intellectual infrastructure of the Abbasid Caliphate was the objective, because knowledge is power, and controlling who invented what controls legitimacy. The Mongols understood that. Someone else did too. Here is the buried part. When European scholars began rediscovering classical knowledge in the 12th and 13th centuries, they weren't pulling it from Greek or Roman ruins. They were pulling it from Arabic translations, from Islamic scholars who had not only preserved ancient texts but expanded them, corrected them, built entirely new fields on top of them. The transmission route was Islamic Spain, Toledo. European scholars traveled there specifically to translate Arabic manuscripts into Latin. What crossed back over the Pyrenees, the mathematics, the astronomy, the medicine, the optics, that's what ignited European intellectual culture. Some knowledge had already traveled west before 1258, but what burned in Baghdad was the living source, the institution still actively thinking past what it had already transmitted. Now the slow part, the part schools skip. The reason the House of Wisdom doesn't appear by name in Western curricula is not an editing accident. If you teach that the Islamic world preserved and extended classical knowledge while Europe was in the Dark Ages, you shatter the narrative of a straight line from Athens to Rome to the Enlightenment. Western intellectual history requires the Middle East to be a passive bridge, a corridor, not a creator. The House of Wisdom proves it was a source. That proof has consequences. Every calculus textbook that credits only Newton and Leibniz. Every history of science that jumps from Greece to Galileo. Every classroom map of intellectual heritage that erases 700 years of Baghdad, Cairo, and Cordoba. That is not an accident of survival. It is an architecture of omission. The manuscripts that did survive sit scattered across Istanbul, Cairo, Tehran, the British Museum. Many are uncatalogued. Scholars who have read them describe finding theorems and observations that weren't rediscovered in Europe until centuries later. The building is gone. The question it raises is not. If the Islamic Golden Age built the foundation of the Renaissance, what else did it build that we still call someone else's discovery? And who decided very deliberately that you would never know their names?